I must first thank the Prime Minister for his presence here today. He has driven this morning despite the bad weather that we are experiencing in Suva and the eastern region. Thank you, Prime Minister, for coming. For the first time in the 50 years or so history of the pine industry, many of our landowners who have leased their land to Fiji Pine Limited have come and visited us at this factory site and at our headquarters. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor to have all of you here. Dola Vinaka. Also, for the first time in the history of the pine industry, we will pay out lease security bonus payments to landowners who have leased their land to Fiji Pine Limited. The idea of lease security bonus payments came about through our struggles that we faced in renewing leases over the last decade or so. When we approached the landowners for renewal of leases, we were told by many of them that they were unwilling to renew the leases because they had not seen the benefits that was promised to them. Despite many of such landowner concerns, around 3 years ago, Lololo forest landowners, particularly from the bar closed area, agreed to renew about 10,000 acres of lease to Fiji Pine Limited on our promise for change for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, today we witness part of that change in motion by a delivery of that promise. And that's through the lease security bonus payments today. The lease security bonus payment is given to those landowners who have leased their land to Fiji Pine Limited that has either pine plantation on it or has at least 15 years of lease term left. The payments being made today are $5 per hectare, or denotes a 45% bonus on the yearly ground rent of about $11 per hectare that is agreed as per the lease. The total amount that is going to be given to the landowners today is around $300,000. The idea of the lease security bonus payments is that we foster a greater and better relationship between the company and its landowners. My landowner friends, this amount is expected to grow to $1 million from next year. That is our promise. However, please understand that the amount that we give depends on profitability of our business. It is a form of dividend. Our profitability in turn depends on our ability to keep our cost structures at efficient levels and our ability to continue to grow our business. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact is, perhaps a sad fact, that Fiji Pine, throughout its history, has suffered from a culture of short-term benefit for a selected few at a compromise for a long-term benefit for the industry and its landowners as a whole. Over the past 3 decades, Fiji Pine has paid hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue streams that comes out of ground rent, forest-based levies, stumpage payouts, provision of exclusivity in many of the contracts such as civiculture, cartage, and logging. Many jobs have also been created, yet the benefits, the irony is that the benefits have failed to truly reach each and every one of the landowners. Inefficient cost structures have existed in the pine industry to support institutions that in theory were created to provide returns to the landowners but have failed to do so. Some of these institutions receive a benefit through commission alone of up to $500,000 a year. from having exclusivity of contract from Fiji Pine. What that means is if these institutions did not do anything, they would make $500,000 of profit a year. Yet, by doing businesses, they make a loss. And Fiji Pine is then asked to further subsidize their inefficiencies despite contract terms well above market rates. The simple idea of doing business is that money invested must grow as opposed to disappear. Frankly, these institutions that turn a commission benefit they receive from Fiji Pine Limited into a loss need to relook at the way they do business. By inventing the lease security bonus payment system, Fiji Pine intends to have closer links and foster stronger bonds with its landowners through more direct benefits. I think it is widely acknowledged that Fiji Pine Limited has also suffered in the past through managements and even board of directors who have taken loans, for example, from the company, never to pay it back, or who have been accustomed to a culture of abuse for their personal gain. We cannot go back to such practices. It is important. I'm not making these comments for us to dwell too much on the past. However, I believe that it is important to recognize and appreciate all things that almost brought a collapse of the pine industry. And we must also recognize the positive changes that have been made in the last few years through extensive reforms that has brought about profitability results. As a result of sound business reforms, we have achieved many things. For your information, just as an example, a few years ago we were borrowing from banks at about 18.5% interest rate. The reason we were borrowing at 18.5% is because commercial banks were unwilling to lend to an institution like ours. You see around, we have such a huge factory site. We have resources, but our finances were so poor that commercial banks refused to lend to us. Today, ladies and gentlemen, as a comparison, we are borrowing at about 3.5%, and commercial banks are fighting for our loan account. Now that is a great position to be in. And we want to remain in that position. And the way to remain in that position is by making sure that we keep our loans at optimal level to equity, in line with our business risks, and continue to make our balance sheet healthier. You look around us, some of our factory machinery is about 35 years old. Most of the machinery that came in 1986, 1987 was second-hand equipment from Europe. Today they are about 35, 40 years old. Tired and in dire needs of upgrades. We need to upgrade these. That's good business practice. We have about 60,000 hectares of leased land in Vitilevu, out of which only 20,000 hectares is currently planted. Out of the 20,000 hectares, about 5,000 hectares was planted in the last 2 years. It takes 15 to 25 years for these pine plantations to mature, to be able to be harvested, depending on the use we make of the pine, depending on the product we turn it into. This is not a very healthy position to be in. We've planted 5,000 hectares last year. We need to continue our planting efforts. We need to continue our planting efforts so that we can ensure that our future is secured. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't change the past, as I have said, but we need to continue our efforts so that we can maintain and build our future. When our companies are stronger and functioning efficiently, we can give more returns to our landowners on a sustainable basis. That's how businesses work. Our company's business risks of trading in a volatile commodity wood chip market cannot be discounted either. I think everybody must understand that the wood chip market goes through extreme ups and downs, which particularly over the last few years which we have experienced. We need to prepare ourselves for the downturns, during which time if we go to banks, they will be able to lend to us. My point in saying all of this is that the reforms and results that we have seen have come about through good business practices, and we must continue to strive further along the same lines. Today, we will witness another 2 milestones, where we will repay a $6.7 million loan that we borrowed from Fijian Holdings Limited 1 year, 4 months ago. That's a record time of repaying a loan in our history, of that size of loan. I think, personally, I must say, at the time when we wanted this loan, no commercial banks, no banks were willing to fund us. We borrowed at a high interest rate at about 8.5% from FHL. But I must thank the Prime Minister who ensured, or who facilitated rather, the deal between Fijian Holdings Limited and Tropik at that time. Thank you, Prime Minister. PM, I hope that the faith in the pine industry has been restored to the highest levels through what we have achieved. I think everybody knows that historically, our group of companies has a record for all the wrong reasons, of not paying loans for around 30 years from the time when we borrowed. For example, last year we cleared a 1985 loan that was taken from European Investment Bank. We don't want to be known for all the wrong reasons. We want to be known for the right reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, the third milestone that we'll see today is we will also witness the opening of a 4-star canteen facility for our workers at Drasa. I'm proud to say that a canteen with such facility is not available anywhere else in Fiji in a factory setting, not even in the private sector. I challenge anybody to come and say that they have a better canteen than this. This canteen was built in recognition of the hard work of all employees of the Pine Group of companies who have worked tirelessly with me over the past few years to bring about the positive, I must say miraculous change that we witness today in the industry. I publicly thank each and every one of our employees. Thank you. My landowner friends and partners, Fiji Pine Limited commits to grow the lease security bonus payment to at least $1 million by next year. My opinion is that the pine industry has the capability of reaching heights where it can compete with the strongest businesses in Fiji and match their level of returns. It is then, and only truly then, I believe, that we will be able to say that we have achieved the vision of our forefathers. We are truly on our way to achieving those great heights. The Prime Minister will launch the lease security bonus payments today by handing out 40 checks. I'm sure I've said too much, and all of you have come here to hear the Prime Minister, not me.